more easily on the backs of Peace Corps. I look forward to working with some new master's students interested in the Peace Corps. You can come by my office anytime and we'll talk about the program. And I'll just end by saying that this is the beginning of another long-term relationship. We're starting with 2 programs, but I think our program will grow to more. I've already had interest from other departments around campus who want to get involved. And I hope that we can grow this future and see some of you there joining us in the future. Thanks, Ami Bharati. And now I would like to invite our congressman, our president, and the Peace Corps director up to sign our agreement.
Congressman Alan Lowenthal is currently the U.S. House Representative of California's newly created 47th Congressional District, which includes portions of Long Beach and many communities in the surrounding area. He is a former professor here at Cal State Long Beach, where he taught in our psychology department. He is also a former Long Beach City Council member, where he served for 6 years. He then continued his leadership in Sacramento, first serving 3 terms as a state assembly member, and then 2 terms as a state senator. He is a strong advocate for education and public service. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Alan Lowenthal.
Thank you all to the potential Peace Corps representatives who are here to kind of learn a little bit more, to the families of Peace Corps, and to those that have served in the Peace Corps. I also just want to say welcome. It's a great honor. This is an event that I really look forward to. As it was pointed out, I spent 28 years here at Cal State Long Beach as a professor of community psychology. People say, well, what is community psychology? Well, community psychology is basically doing what you're going to be doing in our local communities here. Listening to people, not going in as the expert to impose upon people, but to work with communities, to empower communities, to build upon the strengths that communities already have, not to focus on weaknesses that are out there and things you want to change, but to be kind of strengths. And to me, that's what drove me. And that's what drives everyone that's here too. I was a product of, I came up when I remember President Kennedy talking about the Peace Corps, and it was such an exciting, it was the first presidential election, and I'm very fortunate to get to know members of the Schreiber family and Sergeant Schreiber, who was the first Peace Corps, and a director. And it was really something that was really moving our country in a new direction. Well, I'll tell you, I now serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee of the House of Representatives. And I listen to and hear from the State Department and from AID and from defense and all the issues that are going on in the world. And I am so glad that the Peace Corps is now at the table too, that you will represent what America, the best thing that we have. And right now, our major thing in the world is how do we present a picture of ourselves that really reflects the diversity of our own nation and the diversity of the world that's out there, and how do we support that diversity without imposing anything on it and allowing people to develop the way they wish to and just being part of that system. And I can't think of anything more important than what you're doing. And so, or potentially could be doing, or what you have been doing. And I can just tell you, as somebody now who even perceives what I do as just as another part of my community service, not any better or any worse than all the things when I was kind of advocating before the city council and really angry at what they were doing as a Cal State professor, and finally saying, I can do it too. I can run for this office. I can bring about change myself. And that's really what you all sustainable change agents, bringing about change. And I've lived my whole life doing it. I welcome all those that are new to it, and I'm so grateful and thankful for all of those that are here that have committed their lives to the Peace Corps and to making this a better world. That's really what we should be doing now, making this a better world at a time when it's so important that this be part of who we are as a nation. And so I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for everything that you do. And go Beach. The most important part of my job. And, you have to excuse me for and I'm going to introduce the Peace Corps director. I have a few notes. That's the real reason I'm up here. And we have a new Peace Corps director, Carrie Hessler-Rattlet, who has been the interim director, and she was just confirmed this past June to be the Peace Corps director. You know, it's an amazing thing to get anybody confirmed these days. She returned. She was initially appointed, as I mentioned, the deputy director in 2010, and she's really done a whole lot. She's been the champion of what I said also, of making sure that the Peace Corps' mission is also part of our broader U.S. mission and is not just seen as a separate mission, that it's integrated with everything else that we do. And that message get to the Congress, and that message get to the American people, that Peace Corps has its own unique mission, but it also it works in collaboration with everyone else, and it's an important part of our overall message. And she's also working on making sure that the agency works better. You know, we're at a time when we have diminishing resources as a nation, or resources that are more limited, maybe not diminishing, but resources that we must cherish. And the Peace Corps does that by trying to create sustainable kinds of programs. And we are trying as a nation to really look at sustainability as a national goal. And part of that means that each agency has to run better, has to work better, and she's committed to doing that. She comes from a family of Peace Corps volunteers. She served as a volunteer in the Peace Corps in Western Samoa from 1981 to 83. Her husband was also a Peace Corps volunteer in Western Samoa. She taught high school, and she holds a master's degree in public health and health policy and management from Harvard Public School of Public Health, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science from Boston University. Please join me in warmly welcoming our new Peace Corps director, Carrie Hessler.
To be here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What a good-looking group here. First of all, I want to thank President Connolly for so warmly welcoming us. It's just a privilege. As a new director and a new president, both women, it's really wonderful and very special to be here. Dr. Paul Laris, who's right here and who you just met. I have to say he has the coolest official bio photo of anyone I know. If you haven't seen his website, or I guess it's on the CSU Long Beach website, check it out. It's him in his mountain bike in Mali. I was telling him I wish I could have that as my official photo. And Congressman Lowenthal, you have been such an incredible champion for so many good causes throughout the years, both here in California and of course now in our nation's capital. As a new member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, he is a true champion for international human rights. He has made such a difference already in fighting for those who don't have a voice, both here in our country and overseas, and it is a real privilege to be here with you. So thank you so much to both of you for welcoming us. I'm also just really thrilled to be here at CSU Long Beach. I wanted to ask how many of you are return Peace Corps volunteers, and if you would stand up, I would love to acknowledge your service. And now I'd like to ask anyone who is remotely considering Peace Corps service to stand up. Please stand up. Future, and I'm so excited. And then I just want to ask our parents, I know there are a few parents of currently serving volunteers, right here at least to us. And you're going to meet their daughter, Danitza, in just a few moments. She's going to beam in from Costa Rica, where she's serving as a volunteer. We're really excited. Cal State Long Beach, fabulous Peace Corps school. Over the years, since 1961, when we were created by John F. Kennedy. You have had 777 alumni. And I think those of you who stood up are perfect examples of this, that you are one of our most diverse schools, #2 in the region, or in the country, for diversity, especially for being Hispanic serving, but I know that there's rich diversity from all groups here. And so it is a special privilege to be here among you. Thank you so much for your interest. I'm really excited to see how many of you are interested. As we speak, Peace Corps volunteers are doing lots of incredible work around the world. They're pioneering new approaches to malaria prevention and treatment in Senegal that is showing incredible results, 90% decrease in malaria incidents, which has never been documented. Female farmers and artisans in Madagascar to bring their goods to international markets. English to secondary school students in Kosovo, a newest program. I opened it last week. Country. We currently have 66 serving, 140 over history. So we're very excited about that new program in Kosovo. They're tapping into mobile technology to help community health workers in El Salvador. And they're organizing leadership workshops to empower the next generation of leaders in Cambodia. This is just a tiny fraction of the work that's being done by Peace Corps volunteers. They are changing lives all over the world every single day. Volunteers like Kyle Christofferson, a Long Beach native who earned his degree in environmental science at CSULB before turning his gaze overseas. He is now serving in the Philippines. And this is what he said. He said, "It is hard to put into words why I wanted to apply to Peace Corps, but after graduation, it was the only thing I could focus on. And today, he's serving in the Philippines as a coastal resource management extension worker, working with a fishing community that helps to restore and protect coral reefs, seagrass beds, and mangrove forests for generations to come." I have been there, and I can assure you it is the most beautiful spot on earth. And he's doing amazing work to protect the environment. So that's Kyle, who's one of your fellow students. He just graduated. Then we have Socorro Leandro, who is currently serving as a health volunteer in Senegal. As an undergraduate, Socorro balanced her studies in anthropology with volunteer work where she worked on reproductive health for students here on campus. And now she's working with local counterparts to fight HIV/AIDS in a village in southern Senegal and doing tremendous work. So we are so very proud of volunteers like Socorro and Kyle, who are your colleagues, your peers, and who came from this very university. They contribute so much to our work overseas, and they contribute so much, I think, or they will contribute when they get home. Because the truth of the matter is, and you alluded to this, and Dr. Laris also alluded to this, is that Peace Corps is not just an opportunity to make a difference in a faraway land, although it is that as well. But Peace Corps service is a training ground unlike any other, and it's a launching pad for a 21st century career, a career where you can make a difference in this world. Because in the process of helping a Tanzanian community adopt solar energy, or mentoring at-risk youth in Mozambique or Morocco, or launching a health hotline for young people in Nicaragua, volunteers are also investing in their own futures. They are gaining language skills, they're gaining leadership skills, they're developing cross-cultural skills and gaining experience that will provide a competitive edge for them in this truly global 21st century job market. Peace Corps volunteers are really sought after by businesses, by NGOs, by organizations of all type, by our State Department, because you have the skills we need in this incredibly complex and interconnected world. It's a pathway for unlocking potential that you may not even realize. And I'd like to just for a moment share my own personal story. You heard from Paul that all Peace Corps volunteers like to tell their story, and that is absolutely true. And so I'm sorry I have the mic, I'm going to tell mine. So as you heard from the congressman, I went to Boston University and I graduated with a degree in political science and economics. And I applied to the Peace Corps. I'm part of a 4-generation Peace Corps family, actually. 4 generations of my family, and 7 members of my family have served as Peace Corps volunteers. So it's in my blood. I met my husband when I was 18, and he had never been out on an airplane, and had certainly never been out of the country, but he was very adventurous, and we fell in love, and I graduated from university, and he graduated from university, and we went off to the Peace Corps together. We served in a small village called Leulumuenga in Western Samoa, where we taught at a secondary school. It's an all-girls secondary school. And there were 300 students there. Now, Samoan students, until they are 12 in 7th grade, are taught in Samoan language. And then starting in middle school, they get 1 hour of English language training a day. And then when they get to high school, their entire curriculum is taught in English. And they follow a New Zealand curriculum. And it is very hard for them, because most of those students do not have the basic English competency to be able to understand the coursework. And they are incredibly motivated, such wonderful students. They work so hard. I've never seen students work so hard as these girls worked. But the odds were really stacked against them because they just simply did not have the language capacity. And out of 300 girls in our school, every year only 1 or 2 would make it to university because the school certificate exam, which is the high school graduation exam, and the university entrance exams that they had to take were in English. And they were from New Zealand, and they had to compete against New Zealand native English-speaking students. It was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And as their English teacher, and even Steve as our math teacher, as their math teacher, we constantly were feeling like we weren't giving them enough. And I, honest to God, don't think I've ever worked harder than I did with them. Because I felt that I had their future in my hands. And I despaired because I knew how many of our students could realistically expect to go on to university, and it was very few. And I feared, and Steve did as well, that we would be resigning them to a life of poverty, of early marriage, which was very common there, many children, and huge unmet demand for family planning, no job opportunities for girls, really, and this was an all-girls school. And so we really feared for their future. But about a year after I left Samoa, I received a letter from Palepa, who was one of my favorite students. And she had gone up to, we call School C, so she had gone up through the school certificate. She didn't pass it, but she had gone pretty high up in school. And so we received this letter. We were so delighted to hear, because what she said to us in this letter is, because of your English and because of your math classes, it enabled me to get a job in the bank in town. And because I have a job, I'm able to support my younger sisters to go to school. I'm paying for their school fees, and I'm paying for their uniforms. But she said, and this is what she wrote, and it touched my heart so much, and this is what she said. She said, but more importantly, you help me see that girls can have a future, that they have the right to choose the person they want to marry, the number of children they want to have, or the kind of career they want to pursue. You help me believe that I could start a business if I wanted to, or even pursue a leadership position in my village. Maybe even one day I can become a Matai. And a Matai is a chiefly title, it's a village chief, but it's really only men. At that time it was only men who could be a Matai. I wept when I read that letter because I thought, you know, she didn't make it to university, but what a strong young woman she has become. How incredible she is. And I thought of how much I had learned from her. Now 30 years have passed, and unfortunately this was a pre-internet day, and I don't actually know if Polika ever really, started that business, or if she ever became a Matai. But what I do know is how much I learned from her and from our other students. The importance of patience, of perseverance, and of never, ever giving up. And that is what I learned from her. And I now have faith, I do have faith, that even though we despaired over the outcome of our students, school certificate exams or university entrance exams, those girls did learn something, and I hope that what it meant is that they have a different trajectory in life because they have confidence to pursue their dreams. And this is what Peace Corps is all about. It's about helping people identify their own potential, about expanding their horizons and giving them the confidence they need and the courage they need to dream big dreams. And in the process, we are transformed as well. Most of us who served in the Peace Corps believe that we got more than we gave, that the love and the support and the encouragement of our communities was far more than anything we were able to give. And that's probably true. However, I also know that we gave more than we realized, and I know this because I've traveled to more than 30 Peace Corps countries since I've been in Peace Corps for the last 4 years. And I've met so many people who tell me about how their lives were transformed by a Peace Corps volunteer. And most of the things that they talk about are not like the English, they know how to conjugate a verb, or they know how to do a formula. It's the intangibles, values of tolerance, compassion, service, a belief in their own infinite potential. And what Peace Corps can do is to offer them a little glimpse into that and perhaps connect them with some resources that will make pursuing their dream possible. They also have a better perception of the United States and a desire to make the world a better place. Most of us have no idea about the real impact that we've had on our communities, but I do know that today in Africa alone, more than 12 presidents have said that a Peace Corps volunteer set them forth on the path to presidency while they were young, and that is an amazing testimony. Peace Corps service is tough. I don't want to sugarcoat it because it's tough. It can be overwhelming, especially at the start. But day by day, step by step, you really do learn to adjust. You learn the language. Your belly starts to adjust to the food. You start to understand the local jokes, very important. You share your community's joys and your sorrows, and you begin to see the world through their eyes. And that is such an incredible gift. And the more you understand about the people around you, the more you understand about yourself. And the more that you understand that the things that unite us are so much greater than the things that divide us. Peace Corps service is definitely not for everyone, but those of you who are interested in stepping outside of your comfort zone, and it's a big step out of your comfort zone, working shoulder to shoulder with other people on their priorities, not yours, and being part of something greater than yourselves, then I hope you'll consider Peace Corps, because Peace Corps is for you. And that's why we want every American to know about Peace Corps. And that's why we have just, in this last couple months, totally revamped our recruitment and selection process to make it simpler, faster, and more personalized to apply to Peace Corps than ever before. Because we actually believe, and it sounds trite, but actually it's true, we don't think a journey of a lifetime should begin with a mountain of paperwork. For the first time in Peace Corps history, you can apply to a specific country of service and a specific job, which means you can focus on a particular part of the world. Or if you studied Spanish or Chinese or Arabic, you can choose to serve in one, and you can choose to apply to one of those programs. Or if you're interested in a particular job, you want to do public health, or community economic development, or environment, you can choose to select a particular sector. So we're making it easier and more personalized for you to pursue your own personal goals. We want to inspire a new generation of global leaders, and that's all of you, to be the very best of our country and to represent us in a way that no one else can. And the most important thing about Peace Corps is that we are sending representatives of our country to live and work with communities around the world as members of that community. So we're communicating not with the elite, not with the necessarily well-educated, the wealthy, but with the average citizen, people who have untold potential and just need a little help in getting it unlocked. It is such a privilege to be among these people who have so much to offer and just need a little boost. What an incredible opportunity to be the person who gives the boost. So in a moment, you're going to hear from Danitza, who's right here. She's all ready for, I'm so excited about her. She's going to tell you all about her Peace Corps experience. I also urge you to talk to some of the return volunteers who are here in our auditorium today. They stood up. First of all, thank them for their service, because it is service to our country. And I hope you'll ask them what Peace Corps is really like. Ask them what they got out of Peace Corps. And if they're anything like me, they'll say, I found my career, because my career changed totally when I went to Peace Corps. I found my passion. Everything else that I did after that changed. So I encourage you to ask people what their experience is like. CSU Long Beach, on behalf of Peace Corps, I want to thank you for your support, for your partnership. We're so excited about this new Masters International agreement, and we so look forward to working with each and every one of you. I hope all of those who stood earlier really go through with it and apply to Peace Corps. We welcome you. And now I'm excited to turn the microphone over to Danitza in Costa Rica. Let's give her a hand.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay, good. I'm a little bit nervous about the internet connection. But yeah, hello. All right, so yeah, my name is Danitza, and I grew up actually about 5 minutes from Cal State Long Beach. So I'm a California native. I went to school in San Diego and also in London, and right now I'm a current volunteer in Costa Rica. I'm serving in the Youth Development Program, and I came here in June 2012. But I wanted to say just a little bit about how I kind of came about to become a volunteer. I can't see you guys too well, but
Yeah, Danitza, just tell us about your experience, and then maybe we can ask a few questions.
okay, yeah. So I wanted to join the Peace Corps because, like a lot of people, I wanted to experience a different culture, and I wanted to just grow and learn and help people. And I originally applied right out of college. And at the same time, I ended up having an experience, or I got accepted to grad school, and then I ended up working in Ecuador, and I put my application to the side, and I went to grad school, and I finished grad school, and I started working a little bit in fundraising for humanitarian disasters or humanitarian relief. And it was something that I wanted to do. It was in the international, in the field of international development, which I had got.
We'll get it going, don't worry. I just want to say, while we're waiting for all this, when I was a volunteer, it was in 1981 to 83, there was definitely no internet, and the whole time we were there, we called home once. But now, virtually all of our Peace Corps volunteers have cell phones, and they can talk to their mother every morning if they want to. And some of them do, for sure, and that's okay. The other wonderful thing is that nowadays, people can visit. I mean, when I was a volunteer, very few families were able to come to visit their volunteers. But nowadays, international travel is really very easy and the costs have come down, so a lot of people are able to visit their volunteers. And this is incredible that we can beam Danitza in, and all of you can have the opportunity to see her, and I'm sure we're going to get it organized in one moment. We're so grateful to her parents for being here. While we're waiting, why don't I just ask if anyone has any questions or anything? Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask about Peace Corps? Yes?
What part of Costa Rica is Dominica in?
Ooh. Bataan?
It's in the tourist region, which is like Bataan, next to Limon.
Ah, okay, did you hear that? Were you a volunteer in Costa Rica?
No, but we work in Costa Rica.
Ah. So, let me just say, in places like Costa Rica, you know, Costa Rica, there are many Americans living and working in Costa Rica, and sometimes people say, well, why is Peace Corps still there? But the truth of the matter is that Costa Rica has one of the most disparate economic realities of any country in the world. That the poor are very poor and the wealthy are very wealthy. And so Peace Corps serves in those parts of Costa Rica that are most impoverished. In fact, the per capita income in the places where our volunteers live, it really rivals many of our countries in Africa. So we feel that it's very, very important for our volunteers to serve those countries and for us to still be in Costa Rica. Yes?
With Kosovo being country number 140, we have other countries in the pipeline for future consideration, number 141.
Yes, exactly. We have several. Am I allowed to talk about, I'm asking my congressional relations person. I can't, okay. So, Burma, Myanmar is next. We're very, very excited about that. And the Comoros, we're signing today. We're signing the country agreement today. And the next, another one that's in the pipeline is Timor-Leste. It's Timor. So we're very excited about those three. Any other questions? It's a great opportunity. Yes?
I saw online that you could enroll with like a friend or like a romantic interest. What's the likelihood of actually being like placed together with them in the same location?
I'm really happy you asked that question. Let me say two things. And first is that with our new application process, you can apply to any program. You can choose to apply to the same program. So you could apply with your best friend, your mother, anyone. But you both would have to be accepted into the same program. It's like applying to college. So you and your best buddy maybe both applied to CSULB. And if you were both fortunate enough to get into the program, then you both go to the school. So you both have to be accepted into the program. And if it's just your best buddy, we don't commit that you would serve in the same site. The site where you live, actually within the country, is determined when you are in your country during your pre-service training. And you could, talk to the folks there. But anyway, so you can both choose to apply to the same country, and if you're lucky, you both get in the same country. If you're qualified, you have to meet the qualifications. But we also just recently opened our program for married couple placement for same-sex couples. We're very proud of that. DOMA was reversed, so we were ahead of the curve. And so now same-sex couples can apply for service, and we place them in countries where it is legal. So we're very excited about that. And then because of that, we actually had to change our own rules about heterosexual couples, because prior to that time, you had to be married in order to serve together with a partner of the opposite gender. And so now we've decided to open it up to heterosexual couples as well. You just have to have been in domestic partnership for a year. living together for a year. You prove that you're a bona fide couple. So, and then we place you as a married couple. And then we place you together on the same site. So there are 3 ways to be able to serve together. 1, you and your best friend or mother apply to the same program. 2, if you're a same-sex couple, you can apply together, and we'll place you in the same site. And then 3rd, if you're a heterosexual couple that has been in domestic partnership, we'll put you together. Very excited about all those changes. I served as a couple with my husband. It was wonderful. Yes?
What about applicants that have children? Can you take your kid with you overseas?
That's a
Or
very
is that
good...
like a big no-no?
Well, it's sort of a big no-no, because you know why? The places where our volunteers serve can be very remote. Not always, but can be very remote. And we can't guarantee access to schools. We're just not set up to have children, to be honest with you. So no, the answer is no, unfortunately. However, you can go when your children grow up. And about 10% of our volunteers are over the age of 50, including my grandparents who went when they were 70. If you have children and desperately want to join the Peace Corps, you just have to wait until you get them launched, and then you can join them. And they will be so proud of you.
When he's 18, can I take him with me?
Well, then you can visit, or you can apply together. Remember I said you can apply with your mother?
Sounds good.
There's a microphone somewhere.
I've got a mic here.
Okay.
So I'm one of those mothers whose 3 sons have left the nest. And I applied about 6 weeks ago with a new system that you have, a wonderful 1-hour application.
I know, isn't that great? It used to be 8 hours, now it's 1 hour.
That's incredible. My question is, do you have any idea how long we have to wait now before we get our interview? And is there a time?
There is, and in fact, I hope, it's supposed to be now on the website, that you have information that says, if you apply by this date, you'll know by this date. So I would go back to, the new process is supposed to be very transparent and tell you exactly where you are in the process. But if you would let, Johan, will you stand up? Where's Johan?
I'm hiding over here.
Supervisor here, and he will make sure you're well trained. Even more accurate information.
No, that was accurate. That was super accurate. So I'm Johan D'Agostino. I served as a volunteer in Moldova from 2007 to 2009. I am delighted to say that Danica was one of the applicants that I worked with when I was a recruiter. So I'm a proud Peace Corps recruiter today, seeing a volunteer that I worked with serving overseas. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions folks have about the application process. All of our programs, basically departing for the next year, are posted on our website. And they all do have those apply by and know by dates. So you have an idea, make sure you submit by this time, and then Peace Corps will get back to you fairly shortly thereafter. It's about a 3-month window from the apply by to the know by date. You can apply anytime before that. You don't have to wait for the apply by date to submit your application.
In fact, you don't do that. Wait, do it as soon as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we don't want to glut on that last day.
So yeah, you're certainly welcome to submit your application before, and a Peace Corps placement and assessment specialist will work with you and contact you and let you know about the next steps in the process at that point. Sure. Another question in the back.
Yes, I recently learned that when Peace Corps volunteers return, they return with a significant amount of money in their bank accounts. Did you tell me about that?
So first, it's just over $8,000. And so yeah, it is. I mean, it's definitely a big help, and volunteers use it in different ways. I can say that some of my colleagues used it to travel all around Eastern Europe after they completed their service, and then came back home and had some left over to put a first and last month's rent on an apartment. I used it for my graduate education. Everybody uses it differently. So, but yeah, you definitely do get that payment when you leave. Typically, what happens is you get one deposit right before you leave the country, and another one shortly after you return home within a couple of days.
It's really fantastic, and it accrues for every month you serve. I personally blew mine on a trip around the world. 10 cents in my pocket, literally. But some of my more responsible fellow volunteers, and then you in the middle, because you had your hand up. After you, just hand it down.
So I'm a return volunteer, and I was in a capital city during my service, and I recently went back to visit, and I found out that they no longer have any volunteers serving in the capital. So I was curious, I don't know if this was just, I was in Kingston, Jamaica. I don't know if this was just specific to Jamaica, or if there's been a move to specifically place volunteers in rural sites, or if there are more urban programs, because I know that more and more, a lot of the impoverished population is located in cities around the world.
That is an excellent question. We have volunteers in some urban areas. It really is a question of safety and security. That places like Kingston have higher crime rates than we're willing to expose our volunteers to, frankly. And so in places like Jamaica, our volunteers work in more rural areas. In some countries, I was in Samoa, we do still have volunteers in the capital city because it's very safe. It really is a question of safety and security and where you can make the greatest impact, honestly. We also have another program, and I'll just mention it. It is called Peace Corps Response. This is a shorter term program for higher skill individuals, and it operates almost like a consulting agreement maybe. You get a scope of work for a particular job, and you apply to that job, and if you're selected, you serve for a period between 3 months to 1 year. And many of those positions are in urban areas because they're people who are a little bit older and maybe more savvy. I don't know. Or maybe they're not. I don't know. But anyway, so those jobs, because they're higher skill levels, tend to be more in the urban areas. But I would say in general, our volunteers are in towns and villages as opposed to megalopolises. Yes.
So my question is, what was an experience that you, or what was one of the difficulties you had going to your country of service, and how did you overcome that difficulty?
That is a really great question. One of the things I feared the most, to be honest with you, and this is what I hear people talking about, especially my son, who's now 23 and just graduated from college. The thing he fears most, and I think the thing I feared most, was loneliness. And first of all, I was married, so it's slightly different. I have to say, honestly, it was. But the thing that I learned really quickly, and maybe Johan could also talk about it, actually, Johan met his wife in the Peace Corps, too, which is that's our 4th goal. That happens a lot. Maybe that's the answer to the loneliness problem. But what I found is that you're actually not lonely at all, because your community so embraces you. They love you, and actually I think, especially in the beginning, sometimes you wish they would leave you alone. They're so interested in you, they welcome you, they bring, whatever the local equivalent of chocolate chip cookies are when you arrive. You are embraced and loved by your community in a way that is almost impossible to imagine here, because we don't have the same kind of communities. We really honestly don't. And I wasn't lonely at all. And it wasn't anything I did. It was just being open to, discovering that I didn't need to have other people who looked like me to be with in my community, that in fact I really embraced the Samoans who loved me from the beginning, in a way that was really unconditional. I had never experienced anything like that before. So I think that loneliness is maybe one thing that people fear before they go, but when they get there, they realize that they have a huge, they have just received a huge family and community that they never knew before. It's like coming home to a place you never met before. You were just so embraced and loved. That said, it is hard to be away from family and friends too. 2 years is a long time. But now, thanks to things like Skype and international travel, volunteers are so much more connected than we were. And so I think that issue, especially as time goes on, becomes much, much less acute. I don't know, Johan, if you want to share anything.
Yeah, I think one of my fears was more specific to where I served. I served in a former Soviet country, and as an American political science recent graduate, my perceptions of how I would be received as an American in a former Soviet country were Definitely fear-inspiring for me. So I arrived and it was quite the opposite, frankly. Peace Corps had done such a phenomenal job with our training host families, and they were so welcoming. And frankly, Moldovan culture is super welcoming as well. So I ended up in a village of 900 people where I had 900 new friends and knew everybody by name and face. So that fear was assuaged pretty quickly. But yeah, definitely that was something that I was thinking about until probably 3 or 4 weeks into my service when I could actually understand what my host family was saying.
Language is really important, and that's why we spend 3 months at the beginning of your service teaching you intensive language, cross-cultural and technical training so you can immerse yourself in your community, that you can be successful in your job because you understand the language and culture. It's absolutely essential. I think we have time for maybe one more question. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we can't see. I'm not sure what's happening with Danica, but anyway. Yes.
Hi, my name is Sofia, and I served in Ivory Coast 1990 to 2000.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Yes. We didn't create the coup d'etat, but it happened while we were there. My question is, we have few representatives here who served in a mature age. I'm not sure how mature we are, but in mature age. And since you're talking about diversity, cultural diversity is phenomenal. But I wonder, when you folks initiated around 2006, 2007, inviting people of 50 plus campaign, it was very active, and all of us were very active doing panels and answering questions and really attracting people. How hot you are about 50 plus campaign these days besides the culture? I'm curious about
this. We love them. We love our 50 plus volunteers very much, and I'm really proud to say that we have an active partnership with AARP, which is the largest, I think the largest membership organization possibly in the world. So we love our 50 plus volunteers. They bring so much to our volunteers and to our countries. They have life experience to share, but also our younger volunteers love them, really. And that's one of the things that also that I was unprepared for as a volunteer. I first of all thought that everyone who went into the Peace Corps might be just like me, with the same motivation. What I found out is people go into the Peace Corps for all sorts of reasons, and they are all sorts of different kinds of people. And they are my best friends to this day. 33 years later, they are my best friends. And that includes people of all ages. So you get these intergenerational relationships that are so strong that you would never have here in this country. So we love our 50 plus volunteers, and we just want as many as we can. And that's why we have this great new partnership with AARP. And we have also, we have in many of our offices recruiters who are devoted to recruiting 50 plus volunteers. Okay, one more question. Or comment.
I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer twice.
Twice. Let's give him a
What I was going to say is that it was quite an amazing adventure. I went in 63 to 65 in a community up above Bogota. So you're up above a mile high, and it was cold. And people were wonderful. I was there when Kennedy was assassinated, and there were no cars in the place, but they hired a taxi to bring me, get me to the Peace Corps so I could find out about it. In other words, they really did love you. They embarrassed you a little bit every once in a while. I went to church and they didn't have any pews or anything, and during the middle of Mass, 4 people came out carrying an easy chair. I didn't have an idea what was going to happen, and my Spanish wasn't very good. And then all of a sudden they were standing beside me, and I sat there like this and never looked up. I certainly wasn't going to sit in the chair. And I went back in 2010 to reopen Colombia, and I was in the coast in the 2 million population community on the coast, Barranquilla, and it really was the same thing. You got to know the people, you had fun, I got to dance a little more salsa, and the cumbia was big up in the hills, but it was still Colombian, it was wonderful, and still the family, friends, and all that are amazing. So it really is a pleasure.
Yeah, wonderful. What's your name?
Phil Geeson.
Phil. Well, thank you, Phil. And I think that's a perfect way to end our session when the time is up. But I thank all of you for your interest, for your commitment to making the world a better place. Thank you.